channel. I'm Adele Ashley, and today I have my August 2024 reading wrap up. Quite honestly, this is a quick one. I read like 6 or 7 books this month, and all of them were kind of like good. So I kicked off the month with Business Casual by BK Borison. This is a continuation of the Lovelight Farms series, which I read at the beginning of this year. And it just kind of had everything that I honestly love about it. It was back to a small town, back with characters we know and love. Business Casual does follow 2 new characters in the book who are not related like directly to the farm. They're definitely like on the periphery in the community. So I was a little bit worried about how that would all play out and if we would still see those characters who we know and love from the first 3 books, but they are there, they are prevalent. The farm does not play as big a role as it previously did in the story, but it is definitely there, and I loved every single minute of it. It was a 3-star read for me. And then after that, I read The Vows by Jessica Joyce. So Jessica Joyce, this is her sophomore novel. I really enjoyed it. And I say this as someone who took an entire month to read this book, which is so odd for me. Like, I started at the beginning of August. I did not complete it until literally August 31st. It took me a really long time to get into it, but once I was ready for it, I could not put it down. I wanted to know so much about Georgia and Eli and what happened in the past and whether they would manage to like fix everything. And this is such a right person, wrong time, second chance romance. And I loved when he hits the point where Eli starts talking about like all the ways he loves Georgia. And the thing with the paper rings, if you read this, is like I was swooning. I was basically like kicking my feet the entire time. After that, I dived into The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This book, honestly, I'm calling it now. I think it's going to be one of the books of the summer. I also think it's like a top contender for actually one of my favorite books that I've read so far this year. I definitely think it's going to be making at this moment in time, it's definitely hitting in a top 5 list for me. It was definitely a surprise. It's more of a thriller mystery, so a little bit different than what I usually read. I was so intrigued and wanting to know what happened to Barbara, how she disappeared in the woods, what happened to her brother. It is told from multiple different timelines. We hear about her mother, her mother, the detectives. We hear a little bit of Barbara's perspective, a couple of the camp counselors as well. And I was eating it up. I wanted to know what was going to happen next. What was Barbara thinking, what everyone was thinking, and just what was happening. I did find that the ending left me a bit irritated. It wasn't the closure that I really wanted. It just kind of like something happens and a detective goes somewhere and then it just kind of like ends. And I was a bit like, I need more. This is not real. Someone's gonna dig a little bit deeper in that moment. But it was a 4-star read for that reason for me, but I loved every minute of it. And then I read the next book that I thought would also be a contender for book of the summer, The Wedding People by Alison Espach. So I went into this blind. I did not pay attention really to the synopsis of it. I did read it. I did not really pay much attention to what people were saying about this book or anything else. So I was taken by surprise by one of the things that is actually quite a big trigger warning for this story. I just kind of dove in and figured I would just go with the flow with it. So yeah, I definitely recommend checking the trigger warnings on this one because there is some serious subject matter that is kind of touched on throughout. But I really enjoyed it. I loved all the characters. I loved finding out how the 2 women played with each other, against each other and with each other. I really do think the whole idea of the wedding people was so spot on. And as you can see, it was a 5-star read for me. I absolutely adored it. And then I jumped into Very Bad Company by Emma Rosenblum. Emma Rosenblum writes some of my favorite books about like rich people behaving badly, and that's definitely the premise of Very Bad Company. It's this group who goes off on a company retreat. It's one of the characters' very first day on this retreat, or actually, sorry, working for the company, and she has this like insane multi-million dollar salary for this position that's like totally made up. And it just kind of like, the whole thing is just absolutely unhinged in the best possible way. Like, someone disappears, like one of the people disappears on this thing, and they just continue doing everything that like stupid little like team bonding activities while they know that this person is missing and also like potentially dead. It is, again, like I said, rich people behaving badly. It is absolutely unhinged. And then another book that I read that was a literary fiction. I was really into like the non-romance books this month, I guess you could say, is Margo's Got Money Troubles by Rufi Thorpe. This is about a girl who is this young like teen mom who turns to OnlyFans to pay for her bills, and she has her father, who was an ex-pro wrestler, living with her, and you can't help but root for Margo. She loves her son so deeply. She truly wants the best for him, and she's just a young girl who doesn't know any better. Like, the son, his father is actually her like college professor. She's 19 years old. Her father offers her no good advice at all, and she's trying to like fumble her way through life, and like I said, she's doing her best. So I kind of related and felt so deeply for her, and as much as it's like, Margo, why are you doing that, I also was like, Margo, I wish you the best, honestly. So that was another 3-star read for me. And then one of the final books that I read for the month was Daydream by Hannah Grace. So this is part of the Maple Hills series of Icebreaker and Wildfire fame. I absolutely loved it. This one follows Henry, who we originally meet in book 1. He's one of the roommates in the house. I'm really liking the Maple Hill series, how it's not necessarily like, as much as it's following the characters in the series, from book 1, it is also kind of like progressing the story from like year to year, because one happens during the school year, then what happens like in the summer when there's no school, and then Daydream comes back and it's the following year at school. So Nate and a lot of the characters who we had in book 1 are actually not in book 3 when they're back at school, because they have graduated and are like living their adult lives. Daydream, I thought, was really good. I really related to our female main character. She is me in so many ways, and I got her so deeply. I know a lot of people are excited about Henry, but honestly, she was it for me. And then I just got into updating all my trackers. So for September, my book club pick of the month is All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. I'm actually so excited to read this one. And then from there, I just dove into updating my various trackers. So first up, I had Bad Bitch Book Club. I am so far behind on that. I actually don't think I'll be able to catch up this year to complete it. But I also had my A to Z titles and my A to Z authors spreads, which I am definitely probably going to finish this year. I feel like it's just kind of like trucking along and like just managing to take off so many months, even though X, Y, and Z for authors and titles is really a struggle for me. So if you have any recommendations, please drop them in the comments for me. I would love to hear what you have to suggest. I updated my book bingo, which honestly, I'm thinking I need to get a little bit strategic with this, because I haven't finished a single line yet, and I definitely should be able to finish a line in this. So we need to get right on that and get it done, so I can start ticking off some of those like rewards there for the different lines. And then from there, I just went and updated my best book of the month spread. is something that I needed to like touch on as well. It's kind of funny because looking at it, the book that I deemed to be the best book of the month is actually not the book that I rated the highest. The Woods had me absolutely enraptured from start to finish, so it was the best book of August and ends up actually being the best book between July and August for me as well. I also wanted to touch on kind of the future of these videos. So I've come to the realization that I don't really love filming my book wrap-ups this way. I think I much preferred when it was like a talking head video and I was able to describe a little bit more and it didn't feel so like pressured and stressful for me, because making these videos are actually really stressful for me and I actually do not enjoy it at all. So this may actually be the last one that you guys see. I am tempted to say like just stick it out and do it for the entire year, but I think it's starting to come across that I am not as like enthusiastic or loving it as much as like my Bujo spread. So the format of these may be changing in the coming months, but I definitely will be back in September with a reading update. Until then, have a great day.